Today I get to talk to you guys about some of my favorite things. Favorite author, fairy tale retellings, and book cover reveals for anticipated books. Welcome back, everybody. Today, in honor of the Litfuse blog tour that I am doing for The Beautiful Pretender by Melanie Dickerson, I wanted to do a Melanie Dickerson author overview. So I'm going to be talking about the works of Melanie Dickerson, all of her books, as well as some of her upcoming books, and then kind of give you guys an overview of what I like about her books and what draws me to her books and her writing. Melanie Dickerson is fast becoming one of my favorite authors, and I'm thoroughly enjoying all of her books. I love historical romances, and I'm so glad to finally find the historical romances that my high school self was craving and wanting, and the ones that I didn't even know that I had wanted. When I had finished The Hunger Games right after college, I hit the biggest reading slump of my life. I hit like a 2 to 3 year reading slump. I kind of tapered off, wasn't too much into reading, had no real reason to read because I couldn't find books that I liked. Until I was perusing one day on christianbooks.com and discovered all of these fairy tale medieval retellings by Melanie Dickerson. Who was this author and what were these about? There was 5 of them, so obviously I was missing out on something, and it was taking medieval romance and adding them to fairy tales, which I'm a huge fan of both. Now, even in the past, even Christian medieval fiction has let me down in some of the content and let me down, just disappointed in some of the writing and just some of the books, and they weren't exactly what I wanted or even what I needed as a young woman. So I was kind of curious still and yet hesitant to get back into that, but these were also geared toward young adults, so I was saying, hopefully, let's see, I'm going to pick these up. So I ordered all 5 of them in one shot, and I read all 5 of these within 2 weeks. So I read 2.5 books a week of this series, and I couldn't put them down. They were fantastic. I loved them, and they were just what 14-year-old Angela needed and was missing in her life. I was so happy to finally find that, and now I'm going to share that excitement and love with you guys and talk to you about my new favorite author. So Melanie Dickerson's first debut series was the Hagenheim fairy tale retelling series. I'm not too sure if it has an official series names. I think it was just Hagenheim fairy tale retellings or medieval fairy tale retellings. But this was her debut series, and it is still ongoing, the last book coming out in November of this year. The books that are included in this series is her debut novel, The Healer's Apprentice, which is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. The Merchant's Daughter, which is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Now, between The Healer's Apprentice and The Merchant's Daughter, I discovered while reading an interview on my friend Melanie's blog, which I'll link for you guys to check out, but in an interview with Melanie Dickerson, Melanie Dickerson mentioned that after The Healer's Apprentice, she was actually going to make individual unconnected books. So The Merchant's Daughter takes place 15 to 20 years before The Healer's Apprentice and is set in England, whereas The Healer's Apprentice and then the books I'm going to show you in a minute all take place in Hagenheim, Germany, Holy Roman Empire setting. But The Merchant's Daughter will make a tie-in in the last couple of books, and especially in the very last book that is being published this November. So we have The Healer's Apprentice and The Merchant's Daughter. Then we have The Fairest Beauty, which is a Snow White retelling, which you can very plainly see, but it is a beautiful cover. It's probably one of my favorite covers. The Captive Maiden, which is a Cinderella retelling, which is probably my second favorite retelling next to Beauty and the Beast retellings, and this one I really enjoyed. Then we have The Princess Spy, which is a Princess and the Frog retelling, which I don't actually see very much about, and though it wasn't a strong and full focus fairy tale in here, it did implement those elements very, very well done, and I really liked this book especially. Book 6 in the Hagenheim series looks a little bit different and is actually hardback. And the reason for this is after The Princess Spy, the publishers changed from Zondervan to Thomas Nelson, so they got a little bit of a overhaul. And they still kept the beautiful covers and the kind of the similar formats, so it's not a huge cover overhaul change, so I wasn't too disappointed in this cover change in mid-series. The Golden Braid is very obviously a Rapunzel retelling, and with the Golden Braid, this actually overlaps and is a behind the scenes of the events from The Princess Spy. Now, I had forgotten that the Golden Braid was supposed to do that until I got about halfway through toward the end, and it kind of dawned on me that I had read this before, but not really. And then I clued in that this was the behind the scenes for The Princess Spy, and I absolutely loved how she connected these. The Princess Spy also connects one character to the merchant's daughter. So again, I really like how Melanie is connecting all of her series together. Now, the 7th and final book in the Hagenheim series is coming out this November, and this is where the cover reveal comes to play. We had just got the cover reveal this past Friday for The Silent Songbird. So here is the cover. I am super excited for this. Again, it has that very beautiful castle in the background, a girl in a very beautiful medieval dress, and this one connects more closely, as far as I know. There is no synopsis on Goodreads yet, but this one connects more closely to the merchant's daughter. So again, I'm very glad that she is coming and bringing those stories full circle. And this one is a Little Mermaid retelling, and I am most excited for this one. I love Little Mermaid retellings, and I have yet to find a Little Mermaid retelling that I actually like. Out of all the fairy tale retellings that I love, The Little Mermaid is the one that has most disappointed me in the books that I have found for Little Mermaid retellings. So I am super excited that my favorite author, and who I think is the queen of the happily ever after in the fairy tale retellings, is coming out with a Little Mermaid retelling. So I am very excited for this. This is the 7th and final book in the Hagenheim series. To continue her trend with fairy tale retelling set in a medieval setting, Melanie has then come out with another series, and this is the Thornback, or the medieval fairy tale romance series. And these takes place in Thornback, which I have so much trouble saying because I grew up with a lisp as a child, so Thornback, or I can't say it very well, so you'll have to excuse me. But this series takes place in that same kind of time period, that Holy Roman Empire setting, just in a different location, so it's not connected to the Hagenheim fairy tale retellings or to the Hagenheim characters. And with this book series, she is not only implementing one, but two fairy tales at the same time. So she has a fairy tale that is the more dominant part of the story, as well as a fairy tale that kind of has themes from that fairy tale woven throughout the story. The first one of this is The Huntress of Thornback Forest, and this is a Robin Hood gender swap. So it's a Robin Hood retelling with a bit of a gender swap there. And then, but the main fairy tale of this is a Swan Lake retelling. And I was extremely curious as to how Melanie would implement a Swan Lake retelling into a realistic setting. And she did that so well. I absolutely loved just the tie-in of the Swan Lake retelling. It was done very well, and it surprised me too. So I really liked this book for that. The next one, of course, was just released this month, and that is The Beautiful Pretender, which I am going to be posting a full-length review on this Friday, May 20th. This is the book that was sent to me for a Litfuse blog tour, and this one is A Princess and the Pea and a Beauty and the Beast retelling. Now, she's already done one, but I will never complain when somebody puts out another Beauty and the Beast retelling, because just like The Little Mermaid, it is one of my all-time favorite retellings, and normally these ones don't disappoint for me. So I've really enjoyed how the Beauty and the Beast element is in this one, as well as the themes of The Princess and the Pea. So finding a princess of noble character and a true lady and a true princess. So I really liked how that was interwoven in there and how the Beauty and the Beast storyline came out. And on April 8th, Melanie posted on her Facebook that she had just submitted what was going to be her 12th published work, and that is the third book in the medieval fairy tale romance, or the Thornback romance series, and that is going to be called The Noble Servant. So we have a full title for it yet. It's not even up on Goodreads yet, but it's called The Noble Servant, and it is going to be a goose girl and the Prince and the Pauper retelling, which I'm very excited about. And I know Casey and Sarah Ella have told me several times that I need to pick up the Goose Girl. So I'm definitely going to be picking up the Goose Girl by Shannon Hale just to have kind of a background of what that story is about, because to be honest, I actually don't know much about the Goose Girl. But I'm really excited to see how Melanie is going to be doing A Prince and the Pauper and that Goose Girl retelling, so I'm very excited for this one. I don't have a release date for it yet. Like I said, it's not even up on Goodreads. I don't even have a synopsis, so I don't even know which character is going to be tying in. And on a completely different route, Melanie has also started writing a Regency time period trilogy series, I'm not too sure. We have the first book here, which is A Spy's Devotion, and it is the first in the Regency Spies of London series. She has just started working on her second book for this, which is featuring the main male character's sister. And what I like about Melanie's books is if you get a side character, so mainly this one and the Thornback one, if you get a side character guarantee, if you love that side character, they're probably going to get their own book and their own happily ever after, and I really like that, especially if there's just a well-written and just an amazing side character that you want more from, you'll probably get more from. So these are all the books that Melanie currently has published and some of the ones that we are looking forward to and anticipating. There are many things that I like about Melanie Dickerson's writings, and the main thing for me is when I was a teenager, junior high age, I loved romances and fairy tales and happily ever afters, but I also loved medieval time periods and settings, and I could never find books that satisfied that. And unfortunately, the books I did discover were just chock full of content, sexual content, that just were not appropriate for me. I found middle grade that had sexual content. I had Christian fiction that had sexual content. Now the Christian fiction was more fade to black intimacy, so it would kind of do a build up and then cut scene kind of deal, but you still had enough that it ruined the book. And as a young woman, those were not healthy for me. Those were not things that I needed in my life. I didn't have the maturity to properly process those. So it was just so disheartening to try and find books that were appropriate for me and that I did enjoy. So when I picked up the first 5 books of the Hagenheim fairy tale retellings, I was very excited to find all of the tropes that I like, the happily ever afters, the strong male characters that rescued the princess, but at the same time, you also had now strong female characters that made excellent role models. They were flawed, but they worked through their differences. They were able to accept help when they needed, but also offer help in return. They weren't wimpy girls and whiny and just, they had characters and integrity that you would actually want to look up to as a young adult. And that's what I appreciated about finally finding these. Any faith aspect was woven in there very subtly, but also carried its own strength. So it wasn't overpowering and overtaking the story, but it added to it, and it added to the character's growth and the character development. So the faith element was also woven in extremely well. And with today's young adult writing, there's such a push for strong female characters, as if every character in the past has been weak and now we need strong female characters. But every woman has their own strengths and weaknesses, and I like that the characters in Melanie's books are celebrated for both their weaknesses and strengths, and the characters balance each other out. And there's not so much a push for a strong female character, they're just women doing what they need to either survive or to live or just overcome some of their weaknesses. So there's not really a push to be a strong female character. The other great thing about these is I have recommended these several times to the young junior high girls that I am a youth leader for. I recommend them to their moms. I recommend them to my senior high, junior high. These are just great books for young women to read and to be encouraged by. A lot of my youth girls have expressed to me that it's actually difficult to find clean young adult fiction that is geared toward their age, that isn't super loaded with faith themes or super lame. So I'm really glad to find something that isn't overly loaded with the faith aspect that is being preached at them, and also is clean and appropriate and carries the same amount as fun, romance, and adventure. So I hope you guys enjoyed kind of my overview about what I liked and what I love about Melanie Dickerson's books, and just my overview and what they all are and what we are looking forward to. As I said a million times, I will also be doing a full-length review for The Beautiful Pretender, which is going to be up this Friday, so make sure to check that out. Just a quick reminder, this month is also my 1-year booktube anniversary. So my booktube channel is turning 1 at the end of this month. So to celebrate, I am doing a Q&A. You guys can leave questions in the video of the Q&A announcement in the comment section there, or tweet me at @Coffee&Chapters on Twitter, and I would love to get to know you guys through that. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Looking forward to your questions, and please come check out my review of The Beautiful Pretender by Melanie Dickerson this Friday. Also this week, I will be posting at some point the giveaway announcement that Litfuse does for The Beautiful Pretender. The blog tour itself officially starts May 18th, but because I'm one of the first, I wanted to implement this full month into the blog, but I didn't quite get the information yet for the giveaway, so midweek sometime I'll be doing a quick announcement video for the giveaway for The Beautiful Pretender. So check that out. Lots to remember. There's a giveaway coming up. I got a Q&A coming up. Thank you all so much for supporting me and checking this out. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.